Welcome to ADHD Energy Strategy Live. This is a monthly community call for ADHD adults. In this space, we share real life through the lens of ADHD energy budgeting, what costs you, what credits you, and how to build margin. You're about to hear from one of the shares in the room during our last call. Katie, welcome. This is your first time here. I'm so excited to
Yes,
see you.
hi. I just got home from the gym, so I've been cooking. So I hope I wasn't being distracted, but girls got to eat.
We literally do not mind if you're just running around. We've had people on here who are crocheting or like running around at errands and that kind. It's totally cool. Um, I would love to hear from you if you're willing to share before you
Yeah.
share about your word. You've had a lot of very exciting things happening in your life. Would you be open to sharing those with us,
Uh,
Katie?
yeah, I first I will just say almost a year ago, I was diagnosed with ADHD, and it all connected
Welcome to the
because I was
club.
like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. But because I feel like I'm always on the go. But yeah, a lot of exciting things. I recently left a 10-year career that I've spent my life building to just start all over. My husband and I are growing a business that we just recently hired our first employee.
Oh,
And
congrats. That's awesome.
yeah, so a lot of changes. And it was funny how I came up with my word unbothered, as you mentioned, because I came across that when I was trying to make a decision to leave a job that I had built the last 10 years. I had my daughter at a really young age and felt like I just started somewhere that was safe and in higher ed. And I just worked my way from the bottom to the top. But what I found myself doing is I felt like I was always on, whether I was out in the community, a very forward facing job.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize how tired I was until that hasn't been my new normal lately. But
Mm.
when I was making the decision to leave, it wasn't something I went looking for. They approached me. I was talking to my husband. I was like, "Well, what if I let this person down?" And he said something to me that resonated with me back in November. And he said, "Why are you bothered so much about what people think or what you're doing with your life?" And he just called me out. And I was like, "Wow, I hadn't really thought about that." And I was like, oh my God, I get bothered a lot. I get bothered when my daughter's mad at me. I get bothered when I make my dad mad. I get bothered when my husband's
Yeah.
mad at me. I get bothered at work when, I make a decision that doesn't please everyone. And I was like, that's draining. So I was like, okay.
Mm.
And so I decided back in December that my word for 2026 was going to be unbothered. But I didn't realize how much of my identity belonged behind being bothered. Um,
Ooh.
up until like literally the last 3 weeks, I'm on my third week of my new job. And like my daughter was mad at me the other day for not agreeing to letting her get more social media. And she didn't talk to me for like 2 days. And I was completely unbothered by it because my job is to be
Ooh.
her mom. And I have found myself applying that word in literally every scenario of my life. And that was not the intention, but that's how it's playing out. And it's not even the end of January.
Oh, that's so exciting. Honestly, like when I was on, so I saw Katie on LinkedIn. You can follow Katie on LinkedIn too if you want people to. But I always like what you talk about. I like what you post about, and I've been drawn to you for a very long time. So I have known Katie for a while through the Joplin Chamber of Commerce in Missouri. Shout out to anyone who's in Missouri tonight. Um,
Mhm.
so hey, Michelle too. Um, I remember you like you said you raised up in the ranks in higher ed and I remember I was like, my gosh, she's kind of a badass. You were like leading departments and whenever I came into the chamber, of course you're finding out who's the people who are doing things and I always
Mhm.
just saw you, you know, moving and doing things and being involved and always in a way that was just appealing to me. You know how there's people like, I
Mhm.
like her. I like the way she does things, So I just always felt really drawn to you. And then when I saw your post was unbothered, that was what your word for the year was. Of course, I was like, oh my God, I just used that word. And it really serves in that way. It comes up. I wrote down bothered equals draining because you're right.
Mhm.
It literally is. question for you and anybody who is on, oh yeah, Leslie Ann is also in Missouri. Um, Anyone else who has ADHD or neurodivergence, do you feel like you have rejection sensitive dysphoria? Do you feel like that's something that pops up for you a lot or ever?
Yeah. Well, when I was reflecting, just because it was a huge life change of everything, because people said, you've worked so hard to get where you're at. Why would you leave? And it appeared to me that I was working, not that I loved the connections I met and the people I help. And I mean, I still get messages and I'm always willing to help, but everything I was doing wasn't for me. And I was actually talking to my therapist about it. It goes way further back to, like even when my mom died, I found
Mm.
myself grieving how I thought society needed me to grieve. And I still haven't unpacked that because
Ooh.
I was other people's puppet. So we're working through some stuff, but it I've noticed that like literally my whole identity for the last 34 years has been bothered by what people think. And I think that stems a lot from like childhood trauma and that you're always put on the spot because you are scared of rejection and overcoming what people thought you couldn't become. You know, I've shared with you, Mo, that we were homeless. I lived in a motel, drug addict father, and it was like always overcoming because people didn't expect me to. So then I was always on. So unpacking
Mm.
a lot.
And honestly, isn't that what a word like it can be powerful? You know,
Mhm.
how many times I've written out for myself a long plan of what I'm going to do to change my life tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I look at that plan, I'm like, this is a lot of freaking stuff. I don't even know what's in here anymore. And then I look at this thing that I don't pay attention to, and it just sits there heavy. But this word, it can shake alive so much in
Mhm.
terms of being a mirror and reflecting, okay, so I want to be unbothered. Where am I bothered? Why am I
Mhm.
bothered there? This is shadow work. You've I don't want to label this for you, but do you agree with me that this is potentially for you going to be a year worth of shadow work in some
Oh,
ways?
100%. In every hat or title I wear in life, like this is, you know, when you feel that shift, you're like, this is it. Like you're in the middle of this shift.
Yeah.
I I am in the middle of the shift, and I'm excited to see where that leads. Um, I mean, I ruffled feathers changing careers,
Yeah.
and what I learned is people are upset, and that was fine, and they can sit with that. And them being upset and their opinion of me was none of my business, and
Mm.
I'm okay with that.
She's unbothered.
Yep, I'm unbothered.
Oh, well, and it is really cool whenever you can set and explore the areas that you've been bothered and then set in the discomfort of making a new choice too. That's weird, isn't it? The impulse and almost automatic way that we respond to things that are not ours to hold or do or say for another person. So hey, I just thank you so much for sharing. I would love it if you'd like to come back and share an update from time to time. I would
Yeah.
love to have you. Also, welcome. You're just like officially in the club if you want to stay here forever.
I just love all of this, and I think it's great what you're doing, and I'm happy to hear other people's goals and their words, and just thank you for having me.
Mm.
I hope other people become unbothered too and do what's right for them and their family and live for themselves and not society around them.
Hell yes.
Energy strategy in my own design. Shaking off the scripts they wrote in my mind. ADHD rhythm in my stride. Energy budget holding me aligned. I'm returning to the part that's mine.